Assalamu alaikum. My name is Fatima Amanda Istime. Fatima is the name that my father gave me. Amanda is the name that my mother gave me, and Istime comes from my mother's side. My mother is Haitian, and my father is Saudi. He's from Saudi Arabia. I grew up with my mother. My father was in and out because of the difficulties between the marriages. That made my dad stay away from home, and I lived with my mom, with my brother. And I grew up, my mom was a Christian, so I grew up in a Christian home. Initially she was Jehovah's Witness, so I grew up with going to the Jehovah's Witnesses churches, and then she got married, and then she went to a Protestant, and I went to a Catholic church too, so she was really mixed when it came to Christianity. I never liked it. I think it was because it was so mixed. It was really troubling for me. And then after, we went through a phase where there was not really religion at the home. But because we grew up in Ottawa, there was a lot of Muslims around. Many of my mom's friends were Muslim. And she sent us to Quran classes. It was more to read Arabic or to know how to speak Arabic. And after that, my father, he started coming back in our life when I was about maybe 13, well, more frequently. And at 13, I decided to wear the hijab. And it caused a big problem at my mother's house. My mom's sister, she really refused it. She said it's oppressing to women, why would you do that? You're degrading yourself. And I guess I was weak, and I gave that up. I gave up wearing the hijab. But as a kid, I would fast with my friends, but they were not of Ahlul Bayt. And I really didn't have the understanding of Ahlul Bayt or the Sunni or the Shia faith. I didn't really know. And then after that, I started gaining more knowledge about it. And after my experience with my mother and not wearing the hijab, I gave up something in me, just I lost the path that I was going to. Because at 13, I was really decided to dedicate myself towards Allah and pray, and it was something within me was really strong. But I don't know, I gave up, and so I just followed what my mom said. And I grew up like that. My mom got remarried, and I got my stepdad, and there was difficulties in the house having a stepfather. And yeah, as a kid it was difficult. It wasn't easy. And then after, as a kid too, I would also hear a lot of rumors, my father was this person, my mother was this person. So that really affected you as a person, especially coming being mixed. I'm half Haitian, half Arab, and I went through an identity crisis at one point. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know to be if I was Muslim, doesn't mean that I have to be Arab. I can't be Muslim and being Haitian. So that was something that I really struggled with too. And after that, my father came more in my life. And because of the situation at home with my mother and my stepdad, I decided to go to Detroit and live with my father. And my father is married, and his wife is a convert, and she converted to Islam. And at my father's house, it was difficult. It was not easy, because my father did grow up in that he had his Arabian culture, and as a kid, if I grew up in one culture, then when you come there at 16, 17, and somebody trying to change your life and your habits, it's very hard. But I was never a bad kid, I didn't do what most kids did, dating or go out partying. I was I knew the basic of haram. What I did know about haram, I tried to avoid it to the best of my ability. Yeah, so, and also to help me relieve from my problems and everything, I play basketball competitively a lot too. And when I was religiously, my mom, one day, I think my mom came up to me and she gave me a Bible, and she's like, this is the Bible and this is the Quran, read it, and which one you choose, you choose. So that's what I started doing. I was reading both at one point. But it's I don't think my mom was ever against the whole about Islam. I think it was her family, and through that influenced her to be negative towards Islam. And after my father's house, with my stepmom, Islam was it was observed differently for me. It wasn't what I know Islam today. It was more that you can't do this, this is haram, this you can't. and that pushed me away. It really pushed me away, and to the point where like I didn't associate myself with with a religion. I think between 18, 19, 20, I didn't really associate myself with a religion. But I've always like in my future, when I was like, if I do have kids, if I do get married, like I just saw myself like towards Islam. Like I always had that in my head. It's just that there was always something blocking me from me to advance there. So after I moved to Montreal for university, and my first year, it was kind of rough for me. Like I met new people. I don't think I had the best group of friends. And then after that, I sat down myself and I got a reality check. I said, you know what, like this is not life. Like things need to change. And it was just like, what if I died today? Like what would I do? What would I say? Like judgment day, I'm gonna be punished for what I've done. This is not right. So there was a Malcolm X event at Concordia, and there was a number there. It was part of MSA, I believe, or TMA at the time. And I saw the number and I said, wow, like the Muslim Association is doing something for Malcolm X. Like that's really deep, because I was really big on like African history and African American history. So I said, I took the number that was there and I just texted the person. I said, I want to learn about Islam and I need help. And the person answered me and he's like, okay. He's like, oh, that's really nice. I'm gonna introduce you to my wife. And like the whole time I just said I was praying, like I wish they're of the Ahlul Bayt faith. So I met them and she asked me a question like, which way do you want to go, Sunni or Shia? And I told her Shia, and she said, why? I said, because my father is Shia. And then she said, well, I am of Ahlul Bayt as well. And like that's how I started, and through Montreal. And that summer I did a lot of reading about like the Caribbean history, the slave trade. I did a lot of reading about just the West of Africa history. And through this whole time, like when I did my high school in the States, so just growing up, they always associate like a Muslim Arab. And I was reading about this stuff. I was like these Africans who came here, like they were Muslim. And I was like, so like this is not something that's different. Like this is something that was within us that got taken away from us. So to see like a person from Africa, to see like an African American who is Muslim, it shouldn't be something shocking, because this is what they were initially. Of course, different tribes that have different beliefs and faith. So that was also an energy boost for me to move towards Islam. And then I think within the week I met the group, maybe 2 weeks, I decided to wear a hijab. I was like, you know, if I need to change everything and if I'm really sure want to change my lifestyle, I need to wear the hijab. If I don't, if I'm just like, okay, I'll just follow Islam, pray, it's not, because the hijab, like it's in a way it protected me to avoid many things. Like my friends invited me to do something, I wouldn't be able to do it because I have this hijab and because this is what I represent. So so after that I decided to wear the hijab. I was working at the Greyhound station, Gare de Car at Montreal, and I went to work with a hijab and I got fired for it. So they told me to remove it or keep your job, or you have to remove it. So I decided no, I'm not gonna remove my hijab. So I got fired for that. I knew that Quebec had something against Islam, or not Islam, sorry, like about hijab or Muslim in general, but I didn't know to that extreme. And I didn't know wearing hijab was something that was so bad. Like when I walked in there, like that day when I wear my hijab for the first time and I walked to work, like I was so happy to do it. Like I was so confident. And then when that day, like it really crushed me. But it hurt me more, because just to know that there's people out there who are so against it like that, and that, so I never knew what they faced or what it was. It was like, it was always hard enough to be of darker skin tone. Now you have hijab, so that was like even a double struggle, I guess. And I complained and stuff, but they never took the matter seriously. So then, yeah, through that, like I started learning more about Imam Hussein alayhi salam, Fatima alayhi salam. And when I was just reading more about them, like I'm like, I wish when I was 13, I was stronger. Like I was stronger to wear the hijab, to continue. I wish I started this at an early age. So looking back at it, like I wish I had that strength that I had a few years ago. It wasn't because my father has been around us, but he's never influenced Islam. You know, he's talked about it, like, you know, be Muslim, do good things, you know. He's never like pushed it, taught us, even like prayer and stuff. Like when he was there, like he would pray, but he never said like Fatima or Ali, like my little brother, come pray with us. He never really forced that on us. But it was myself. It was just like I just sat down one day and just like everything around me, life, everything just, it took it, and I was like, this is not life. There's more to life. This is not it. Like this stuff, like what we're doing, clothes, cars, this is not life. There's more to it. And I guess I got a big reality check because I knew the truth before, and I guess it was fading, and I think everything just hit me one day, and everything came to me. When you hear the stories of the Ahlul Bayt, of the Imams, of the Prophet's daughter, alayhi salam, that makes you closer, connection to Allah. Like you see what they did and like the sufferings that they went through, the troubles that they went through, and how they dedicated themselves to Allah. Like it pushes you more to do that. When I think about, like, you know, they fasted, and sometimes, like, you know, they didn't eat or stuff, like even like it's just your life reflects around them. You want to have that same lifestyle as them because it's so pure, the innocence and everything has represented about them. And even like the du'as that you hear, like du'a kumail and stuff, like there's nothing that I can deny about it, that I can say like, no, this is not right. So I think the way they are, the characters of Ahlul Bayt, it makes you closer. It shows you the connection to Allah, and how if you have this connection to Allah, like the blessings you will have. So they're a very good example of Islam. When I just hear the debates of people against Imam Ali alayhi salam or Imam Hussein alayhi salam, like I just say, okay, let's see the logic. Like if you had a brother, or if you love someone who was somebody and they had kids, would you not love their kids too? Would you not respect their kids or have the desire for their kids? Why wouldn't you? That's just number one logic of it. You know, like my brother, if he has kids, I'm gonna love his kids like they're my own. So why not love the grandchildren of the Prophet? Like, why be against that? And his daughter, why be against her? So that's just the logic of that. You see, like the story of Zainab alayhi salam, like her strength. You know, that like when I read about it, even I thought about it, like I want to cry. The emotions that I felt. For all his members, all the youngs who decided to go as a martyrdom, Abbas, and I think that was the biggest story for me that really changed, because it's a chapter of all of their lives and everything towards them, and even touches about their grandmother when they were a baby, Fatima alayhi salam, and Imam Ali alayhi salam, and it brings everything in, even the sons of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, even them, they were willing to go. So it just touches everything about them. I think that story is the story that I don't know any person, if who reads that story and really has a connection towards Allah, really does like what the Quran says. Like if you hear that story, I don't know how you cannot like go towards Ahlul Bayt. I think all the women did. It wasn't. Islam doesn't look at skin color. It's not telling you be of this race, you have to do this. Islam is telling you exactly what the value of a woman is. So as I understood Islam and how it represents the women, especially the women of Ahlul Bayt and how they were, I don't see the skin color. When I see people mention that, I see it's ignorance, it's lack of knowledge, because it's protection for you as a woman, as a mother, as a wife. So I don't see. That's when I see that. That's what aids me. Fatima alayhi salam. just how she was, her modesty. You know, like over here we tend like to associate ourselves with men and stuff, or it's like I don't know, it's like popular or something that to do. But like I feel like how she didn't, she reserved herself. I think that's very strong. That's very beautiful. And here it's like we have to show and flaunt ourselves for that. But even she didn't do that, and she was still viewed as someone who was so beautiful, a good woman, and she didn't even need to do like what we do now today. So that's when I hear about her, how she is a character, like if I think about my past and stuff, and I'm like, if I knew this before, and if I had, like I would avoid all this stuff that society puts in us, because it's not worth it. Well, Haiti is a Caribbean, it's a Caribbean country, so there's like, and I grew up with a lot of Caribbean friends, so there's like carnivals and festivals like that. And I think over there it's normal to show skin. And even here it's like something to do. It's because when you show skin, it means like you care about your body or something, or like you don't care about other things about you. That's why it's important. And it's difficult to, I think it's difficult because I grew up like at the beach and stuff. But I don't know, I think it's difficult within my family. When they see me, they're like, why do you dress like that? But within the West, I don't think it's difficult to me, because they say freedom, like we're allowed to wear what we want to wear. So if that's the case, then I don't see a problem. But I think when you go for like interviews or job interviews or stuff like that, like you don't want to dress in a way that they'll judge you, that they think you're like this or they think you're like that. I think those difficulties that I have, because I do want to wear like modest clothes, and it's like, okay, wear, like you have to wear jeans for something. Those are the troubles when it comes to work and that kind of environment that I face. I think one of my biggest concerns is that I don't want people to see Islam and they think you're Arab. That's one of my achievements, is that if I can just talk, you know, to people, or if I can just represent Haiti in a way, or go to Haiti and talk, you know, this is not it. Like I'm not just because I wear the hijab doesn't mean I'm Arab, or because that's one thing. Another thing that I want to achieve, like career-wise, I was interested in going into medical school, but as I was doing research and stuff, and now that I like thing changed, I want to work with like NGO, like Peace Corps and organizations, with for women's rights, for kids who are orphans, like do seminars and just talk, and like in public health, health technology. Those are my future plans.
Why did you choose this of all the things you could choose?
What I choose? I've always been attached like to kids, especially the orphanage, those who are poor and those who are needy. I want to see their lifestyles. There's something that I like. If I was to travel, I would never go to Europe. I would go to a country that was poor, and I would take my camera, take pictures, and just talk to people. It's something that I don't know. It's something that I've always been drawn to, and it's just because like growing up I didn't grow up in a fancy neighborhood. Actually, I grew up in a neighborhood, like people call it, I think we'll say like the ghetto. Although it wasn't as bad as we see like in the States and stuff. And like some kids, you just look at them like they're good kids, but they don't have that family support. They don't have the means, and the only thing that there is just like society. The streets raises them up. So what do you expect them to do? Like if he goes up stealing, is he really a thief, or that's what he knows? So that's what I wanted to do. If I can just talk to them and maybe like motivate them for something, and just tell them like, hang on, like just avoid this haram thing. Trust me, like you'll grow older and you'll regret this, or things will get better eventually, inshallah. So I think just because of my experience and stuff, I just want to give back. And yeah, just like any kid who's crying, or any woman who's going through suffering, even men too, just to aid them, because some people don't know. I don't have a lot of difficulties. I just get a lot like, where are you from? I think that's the first question when I walk there. Even when you walk just like on Thursdays, just to listen to Aquamail, they're asking like, where are you from? Where are you from? I think sometimes it's like, I think it troubles me. Not just, I don't think they ask that as a mean way, but That's one question. They'll go deep in details about your life, and it's like I don't know what to explain, and sometimes I don't feel like going deep in detail to my life. That's one thing. But on the non-Muslim community, difficulties with my grandma and stuff. She's Jehovah's Witness. So when I was staying with her, my first marriage, just I'm wearing hijab and everything. It was a few months ago before I moved out. She would bring the Jehovah's Witness to talk to me, try to convert me to Jehovah's Witness. That's one of the difficulties I had. The Haitian community didn't really accept me anymore. I think they'll be like, "You're Haitian? Like, no way, you're not. Like, impossible. Like, are you married? Did your husband force you to do stuff like that?" So that's one difficulty. But with the Islam community, I don't have a problem. Just the questions, they're just really curious of where I come from. The first time they came over and they talked to me, and then they were like, I listened. It was two ladies that came. I just listened to them, and I wanted to see what they said. And then they're like, "So are you sure?" I'm like, "This is what I want to be." I'm like, Islamic. I respect you. I don't go up to you and tell you to convert. So this is what I want to do. And then after, they were talking, and she doesn't want to listen. And the second time, my grandma called them over to talk to me again, and she was just telling me stuff. And there was one thing that she really told me. I'm like, "Where did you get the name Jehovah's Witness?" And she was like, "Because in the Bible it says, the people, they witness God," or something like that, or they witness the doings of God. So I said, "That's where you got the name Jehovah's Witness." I said, "So then we all witness God, so should we all be called Jehovah's Witness? Because we all witness what Allah does for us." And I think she got really mad about it. She's like, "No, it's different," and it was a big argument. So the second time I said, "No, I'm gonna talk to her." So it was just not really arguments, but just facts that she said and the facts that I said. And then to the point it came where she didn't want to talk about it no more, and it was just you just have to believe. You just have to believe. And I think at one time in church, it was two events. In the Bible actually it says don't eat pork. So when my mom gave me the Bible to read, I read. I was like, "Oh, it says don't eat pork." Okay. But in the Haitian culture, there's a lot of dishes with pork. And actually, growing up as a kid, my brother always refused to eat pork. We knew that because my dad was around, and my mom never gave it to us. I don't think she ate it as well. And yeah, so the pastor, I raised my hand and I asked the pastor, the Bible says don't eat pork. And he looked at me. He's like, "Really?" He's like, "We have to discard that because this is part of the Haitian culture, so we have to keep our culture. We have to keep our culture." So that was something that I was confused about. And then I was having a discussion with my cousins and the members of my family, and I said, "Okay, if Jesus is God, and Jesus is the Son of God, and Jesus is Jesus, then who did Jesus pray to? Who does he pray to?" And everybody just looked at me you just have to believe. You just have to believe. Why would you question that God cannot be three people at one time? And I looked at them. I'm like, "Come on, you guys." So that was things like that kind of drove me away to Christianity. The answers were not filled. They were not answered the questions that I had. To become Muslim or to convert over to Islam, if you look at Islam, what are the negatives about it? There's no negatives. Everything is beneficial for you. Anything that you say, "Okay, well, it says don't drink this or don't eat this." Yeah, if you go to a doctor, if you go to health, they'll tell you the consequences of eating this and eating that. So, and if you have a dedication to Allah and if you want to do good, Islam talks about all of this. And I think that you shouldn't worry because Allah takes care of you. He takes care of the kids, and He's aware of the situation, the sacrifice that you make. And they say throughout my struggle, there was with every hardship, there's an ease. Something that I really live by, and I say to many people, don't worry, without every hardship, then there's ease. And even if you go through difficulties, it's a good thing. It's not bad. I was listening to one of the Shia. He was saying, some people, they have to be poor. If some people need less money to dedicate themselves to Allah, and some of them who have more money, they can do it. And some of them, if they had more money, that same individual, maybe he would not be the way of Allah. So Allah knows the best situation for you to be. So is it for you to maybe not have your mother and your father with you, or is it for you to have it whatever situation it is for you, it's always, we say Alhamdulillah, because that's the best situation for you to be the best believer in it. So if this is what you want to do, and take your research, look at it, look at Islam, look at your lifestyle, and see how it will benefit your lifestyle, see what you would change. And if your heart is really for Allah, then do it, and do it without looking back or without anything. Fully do it, everything, and you'll see you'll get much more in abundance. And to always realize that this I think there's even the Quran talks about this life is not meant for you to enjoy. So it's the next life after that, like when you die, and that's what's most important. So whatever it is here, it's not for you to enjoy. I look forward for the opportunity. Actually, like, it's something that I plan. Like, I put it in my future. Like, inshallah, when I graduate, I will be able to go. I really look forward to it. It's something like, I don't know. Like, I don't think I can explain it with words. It's just like, you hear the stories, and you know the stories, and I'm just like, I know, like, I don't know the feeling, but I know there's going to be this overwhelming feeling that I'm going to have this closer connection towards Allah, and it's necessary to do, like, and like just the whole story about how the Imams went through, Ahlul Bayt went through, and just to walk towards that and to go through that, I think it's the best feeling, and the best thing to do as a Muslim. And I think you should do it. Especially if you're going to, in Islam, you know that there's like many different types. There's Sunni, there's Ahlul Bayt, I advise you to really read the Quran and not just go and just hear, like, what people say and then take it. Actually sit down and read the Quran, and, like, use your logic, use your thinking about things before. And just in life, I think that we're so caught up with society, we're so caught up with everything that we're forgetting everything else. Even our kids, like mothers, and I don't know, I just think that everybody should just dedicate themselves towards Allah. And if you can't do that, if that's not your lifestyle, at least do good. At least don't sit there and be like a victim of society, and don't just adapt to the things that they want you to do. And for those who are concerned, who are non-Arab and who want to be Muslim, they're like, well, I can't be Muslim because I'm not Arab, because that's very false. Don't put that in your mind. I think wherever race or wherever, like, that's the beauty of Islam. Like, walking into a masjid, like, you just go pray. Nobody looks at that. You don't have to worry. Is this an Asian mosque? Is this a black mosque? Like churches, you have to be considered. This is Italian. This is this, and this is Spanish. They only speak Spanish. Islam doesn't have that. You just walk in, and everybody's united. Everybody's going together.